Hey guys, Gareth97 again. This time with a review of the high-grade customized campaign B set. And this set includes the beam Gatling gun and joint parts, which seem to be mainly made for the Zeta and double Zeta Gundam units. So let's first of all have a quick look at the beam Gatling gun. This is very standard fare. We have a handle, nothing on it is moving at all. In fact, it's just two halves slapped together and then with a top piece put on it. So very simple in design, has two holes on either side, and this set will actually give us parts to combine weapon sets together. We have this part here, and you can put it in the Gatling gun and then have another beam Gatling gun next to it. And you know, these holes are always, well, they will allow for a lot of creativity. For example, mounting it on the side of the gym here, for which you have to use this and then a few parts that you get with other sets. So those holes are really good and will allow for a lot of creativity going on. So let's see on which mobile suits they fit. And instantly we encounter a funny thing. The old style hands are actually significantly better in holding the Gatling guns than the newer style Federation hands. The normal holding hands for the beam sabers, well, as you should hold them, are absolutely worthless. They're not going to hold on to it at all. But what you can do is turn them around and then these will be absolutely perfect. But as you're supposed to do it, no luck. And then we have the trigger finger. It requires a bit of fiddling around, but then it's going to be more or less stable. It's not 100% stable as with the Mark II hands, but it's gonna work kinda as it should. Now, moving back to this closed holding hand here, the funny thing is, like I said, if you turn it around, then it works like a charm. It takes a bit of fiddling around to just find that sweet spot, but once you found it, it's gonna be absolutely perfect. And upside down, but it will work a hell of a lot better. And then, just for the Mark II, the trigger finger hand, as I said, once you find a sweet spot, it's going to be just as good as the holding hand. Then you just gotta put it back in a sweet spot, and there we go. Our poor Zakus here are unfortunately somewhat less fortunate. Starting off with the new style hands, the normal holding hands are quite dreadful. They can kind of hold them up when you're lucky, but most of the times it's just gonna fall down, and it's just not a good fit. Like I said, you can kind of get it to stay upright like now, and then if you don't touch it at all, and the trigger finger hands, well, they can kind of hold on to them, but kind of not. You really have to find that sweet spot where you put the top protruding part of the handle underneath the trigger finger hand, and that is the sweet spot. And then it will actually hold on to it. It's still not the best fit, and just even nudging it will cause it to fly all over the place, but he can kind of hold on to it. So you're gonna have to be careful, but the new style hands with enough patience can kind of hold on to them. Then the old style Zaku hands, trigger finger hand is an absolute total loss. Not gonna stay up no matter what you try, though when you put it at somewhat of an angle, it's still going to look decent. It just can't really hold it up all that well, and it will fly left and right all over the place. So depending on your pose, this might or might not work. So if you're going for a more actiony pose like this, that's absolutely not gonna work. Though in normal kind of prone, normal shooting mode, that will kind of work. The good news here is with the normal holding hands, and this really is the best fit you're gonna get all day with those normal holding hands. On the flip side, the kind of bad news is this protruding part of the handle is gonna dig into the plastic a bit, which is also why it's such an absolutely secure fit, because I'm not sure if you can really tell, but it's kind of digging there just a tiny bit, not even a millimeter. It's like really nothing, like 1/10 of a millimeter, but it still does that. So that might be something you want to watch out for. But if that's no real issue for you, which it really isn't, this is a fantastic fit. some other fantastic fits. Here we have the Ailstrike, the new Ailstrike with the All Gundam Project hands. And these are, well, when you really jam it in there, it's gonna be a perfect fit. But if you push it a bit down, it's gonna be an absolute fiddly mess. So at first you'll think, man, this isn't going anywhere, but then you just really gotta jam it in there. And let's see, there we go. And now it suddenly became a perfect fit. So once again, that is one of the best fits you're gonna get all day if you just ram it in there enough. Just gotta find that sweet spot, and that is really becoming the key word for the beam Gatling gun. Most of the kits will be able to hold it in some way, shape, or form. You just gotta find that one way that makes it work. Or you just go with the old high-grade seed hands, and they will just work perfectly. Because coincidentally enough, the handle here seems to work perfectly with the hand, so that's also going to be a great fit. One final fun thing you can do with the beam Gatling gun is that if your mobile suit has a shield with a double peg connector, like the Slaughter Dagger here or the Ailstrike is, just use this hole, slide it onto the peg, and this will work with all of those shield pegs, and then you have an improvised shield Gatling gun. It's not the greatest thing out there, but it's definitely something that works. As you can see here, sometimes it will work a bit better than others, depending on the peg, depending on the shape the shield is. And if you can make it work, it's a pretty badass concept. And now we've gotten to the joint parts. And once again, just like the A set, they're very niche things. So the first thing we get is this connector here, and then you have to use this side piece, which is already on here for convenience, and then you can put this on the Zeta Gundam. And like I said, this is a very niche thing because it's used for exactly two things. You can either use the Masala's wing binders or the Pallas Athena's backpack. And I've tried, and these are the only two things I could find. I even went as far as to try the Byron because I thought that's a massive thing that has to work. But no, it uses the standard connection. So it's not gonna go in here, it's not gonna go in there. One fun thing I did discover is that when you remove the wings, it will, well, and once you remove this, it will go on there. And that's the same connection as used by the Freedom, the Zaku, and I'm pretty sure also the Jin. So all of those things will connect to the Zeta Gundam natively, but aren't going to connect to this very fun side piece. So if anyone happens to discover any other things that will connect onto this part here, please leave a comment down below. And otherwise, as far as I'm aware of, that's all that's gonna work on it. Jump cut, because I just thought of one thing that might just work, and it did. The Gaplant's wing binders actually will connect to those side pegs. Actually, kinda reminds me of the Shizram Diaz now. Wait a second. And the Shizram Diaz is now confirmed as not working with this, unfortunately. So far, the only extra thing I've been able to discover is the Gaplant. Once again, went over everything, but nothing that really looked as if it would fit. Unfortunately, the things that looked like it would fit all had ball joints, like the Doberman Wolf. But so far, it's an interesting thing for your Zeta, but we get another piece. Well, actually, we get two of the B6s, and then this is going to become a striker pack, which is always immensely more fun. There's nothing I like more than having striker packs, because it always adds a lot more variety. And this actually looks like something that would work as a striker pack. And here we have it on the strike. It's not going to be as easy to aim with, but I have to admit, it does look surprisingly good on here. And functionally, it's not that bad either. Like I said, it's not going to be as easy to aim with, but in space, that's not going to be too big of a deal. You have some nice extra thruster there, so this is actually turning out to be a lot better than I expected. And now, The final thing we can do with this is something that is not mentioned in the manual, probably because it was too wacky. We take this out, we currently leave that in there, and then this hole here, now to what could that possibly connect? Well, if you want to make yourself a mobile firing platform, then you simply buy 2 Gaplans, or 3, because what you can do is, if you want even more firepower, is also attach them here. And then you can have 3 of those things in one. Then you just get another one of the B set, and you put it on the other arm. And then you are ready to take out an entire friggin' army. Because that is gonna be some hellish firepower. Kira Yamato, cry your heart out. Or I guess we could just replace the Freedom's arms with this. Because hey, then he'd be able to beam spam even more. Genius! Next up, the manual will tell us about piece B10, which will allow us to connect the Zeta Gundam to any legs which uses these standard pegs. But there will actually be more to that. This set will actually allow you to connect the double Zeta Gundam's body to anything, or any body that uses the same type of connection as a double Zeta Gundam. First of all, the legs that use the pegs. Here we have the Mark II's leg, which is shown in the manual, but it's probably not going to look as good with a massive body such as a double Zeta Gundam. So here we have the Shuzuru Diaz's legs, which also use the body. This piece goes on there perfectly. It's already quite tight. Then you just put the double Zeta Gundam on there, and it's an absolute perfect fit. And these massive legs definitely do not look out of place with the double Zeta Gundam, especially not if you're gonna give them a coat of paint. But now, I said that this set will also allow you to connect the double Zeta Gundam to any other leg out there. For example, the Hyzak legs here, which have a hole. So how are we gonna connect those? Well, when we turn around the manual, we're also getting B3 and B4, and they all, well, this one, B3 has a thin end and a thick top, and then B4 has a thick top and a thick bottom. And that part will, of course, work on the thick part, and this is the one with the thin end, which will go, for example, into the Gaplin's leg. So let's put that there for now, and then here, if I can grab onto it, here is the one with both thick ends. Simply put this on there, take this out, and when you just put this piece on the legs, it will be quite loose, and you'll think, well, that's not going to be great, it's going to fly off, the body's not going to be able to hold. But what will happen is, when you put the body on there, it will actually squeeze the part together, because as you might have seen, there was a slit in there, so it will squeeze together and will provide the friction you want. And the massive double Zeta Gundam body isn't gonna fall off. And doesn't look too horrible with Hyzak legs. So then, if the legs want to hold up the double Zeta Gundam body, then as you can see, you can connect pretty much any body with almost any leg. So let's quickly connect our Zeta Gundam with the Gapland legs. Once it's off, and put that on there. And it looks quite unique. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it. Also, because of those extra things on his back, it looks like he kind of has balance issues, because, you know, the Gapland isn't the most structurally powerful machine because of the transformation. But hey, it works kind of. Might have to use some super glue there, but that's definitely gonna work out. So that's all for those pieces you're getting. So you can really use these things to go wild. You can connect pretty much any body to pretty much any legs. I think that pretty much sums it up. The only types of legs you're not going to be able to connect any body type to for now with this set is if they use this kind of ball joint immediately at the bottom. And you might think, well, but what if they are the new type ones from the All Gundam project, such as the Ailstrike Gundam? Well, the ball joint at the bottom here will take the thin end. So depending on what leg you want to connect it to, you can put in this piece, and then you can now connect them to one with a thin end. Unfortunately, if it already has a peg on there, then it's not gonna work like this. Though technically what you should be able to do is remove this ball joint and then use the adapter for the double Zeta Gundam. The problem is, of course, getting this ball joint out. So if you, for example, want to use the new Ailstrike Gundam with the Mark II's legs here, then you can do it if you don't put in the ball joint first. So then you can use the double Zeta Gundam's adapter. So once again, I rest my case, you can connect almost any body with any kind of legs. Some might require a bit of forethought, but in general, this set will connect anything to anything. And finally, we're getting two of these pieces. And just because our Zeta Gundam doesn't look weird enough already, let's see how this will turn out. So the point of these is to use them either like this, and then you can plug in arms with pegs such as the Cubelay. Put that in there, and then the other arm goes in there. And this is something you might see if the AUK was in serious financial problems and salvaged a Gatling and parts of the Cubelay. It's very unique looking. Actually, might not be that bad if you paint it in the correct colors, but hey, that's for someone else. And then the final thing you can do is you also get two of these pieces, and these go into places where the Cubelay arms just went into, and then you connect arms that would require ball joints to go in there, such as the Masala. But once again, I don't think a lot of suits actually use those, and none of them immediately come to mind, other than the Masala. So that is a very niche thing, but this, well, does have a few more uses. Also, you can put those in the All Gundam Project machines, even though they require the ball joint in there. But what you can do is, for example, from the A set, you can get the adapter so that you put the ball joint with a peg in there, and then you can put them on there. Unfortunately, that's gonna have to be with another set. So far, this is something you can make. Actually, quite monstrous looking. And that's all you're getting with this set. So overall, how was the set in my opinion? Well, I think it's a damn fine set indeed. You get a lot of options for combining different bodies with different legs. It all works out perfectly. So I would definitely say that this set is a lot better than the A set. You get a nice weapon, and all of the accessories work perfectly as they're supposed to. And hey, you can even do a few extra things that the manual didn't specify, even though you could say it kind of hinted at it. And let's not forget the most important part, we're getting a striker pack. That always gets bonus points. Striker packs are what make the strike and the strike daggers so interesting, because you can do a lot of crazy stuff with them. And finally, I'm gonna end with the usual question, Bandai, why you make this buyable? Seriously, Bandai, I would say that these sets are a lot better than the weapon sets, simply because they offer a lot more options. I haven't seen anyone create something like that with a weapon set, and that thing is bloody terrifying. And actually, the more I look at my Zeta monstrosity, the more I kind of start liking it. It has this weird monstrosity thing going on with it. So it's definitely a fun thing, and I would totally recommend everyone to build something like that. It's fantastic. So Overall, this is a fantastic set which totally should be buyable. And, well, if you can still somehow get a hold of it, I think the one thing I can think of is that GG Infinite still had this going on a while back, so maybe you can still get some there. I wouldn't go out of my way to pay top dollar on eBay because they're apparently selling them for $10. So for $10 is definitely too expensive, but if you can find it cheap somewhere, or if you see some place where they're having the action, definitely pick it up. Or in the future, if this becomes buyable for a low enough price, this is absolutely worth the purchase. So if you'll excuse me now, I'm gonna find my tweezers to get that part out of my strikes bag. Well, that's all for this review, and see you guys next time.